welcome to another FasTrax webinar. Webinars are weekly events that are held on Fridays at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. We cover a variety of topics from our retail POS system to warehouse or digital signage. So to get to webinars, if you'll just go to our website at goftx.com. If you'll browse over to the FTX Lifeline link, once there, if you'll scroll about halfway down the screen, the webinar section. From the webinars section of the page, we can register for upcoming webinars, and we can actually view previous webinars that have already taken place. We have a link here to subscribe, so you'll get notified of new and upcoming webinars and any other FasTrax news that we would have. So today we're going to be covering the queue in retail. Let's go to Director here. So what is the queue? So the queue module is where anytime you make a change to an item, an employee, anything at corporate, it creates a queue record to be sent down to the store, so they will have the same information at the store level as you have at corporate. So as you can see, to get to the queue, we just go to the queue module on the left-hand side. It brings up this screen. As you can see, it's updates to be sent. Right now, I do not have any. And this, by default, will only show your records that are sent down. So any changes that you have made that needs to be sent would be in here. So how does this work? So let's go to Price Book. I'm just going to look up an item here. I want to say there's a price change. Instead of $12, or $12.50, we're going to make it an even $12. So I'm going to save this. So I now have saved the price of this item. So now if I go back to my queue, as you can see, I have several updates here. If you look at the left, we have store number. You have store 1, 2, and 3. So the way that this works is down at the bottom, there is stores selected to receive changes. This will only show the updates for what you have selected. So if I was to say take off store 3, I refresh my grid. Now I'm only showing stores 1 and 2. So what we can also do, if we look, store 1 says update type is a vendor part, and there's one update. It tells me that my oldest entry for this type of update is today's date, and what the newest entry is. So if I wanted to know what's in this update, I can actually come down here and click View. By doing so, I can see that POU number, what vendor is associated with, the vendor part. It has all the information in here. It tells me when it was added. By default, sent is set to a year ago. It's set to 5/30/2019 instead of 2020. It tells me who added this change. Currently sent by is 0 because it's not been sent. We have a checkbox for if it's scheduled or not. If it's scheduled, when it was scheduled. And again, by default, if it's not scheduled, it's going to be a year from when it was added. And it tells us the information if that particular item is do not order, or if it's a manual order, if it's a kit. All of this comes from the vendor part itself. I can see the same thing if I go to item. It gives me the same information, the POU number, the description, my last cost, my last price, and as you can see, it's sending the $12, which is what we changed it to. So that's how I can look at an update that's set or ready to go down and actually view what's in there. That way I can make sure that I didn't forget anything. And like I mentioned before, when you come to the queue, it's only showing your records. It's not showing everything that's in the queue. This is by design. Reason being, you're making changes. You want to send what you changed. You don't want to necessarily send what other people have changed. And I'll show you the reason why. If I go in here and uncheck only my updates, I hit refresh grid. So if you notice now, I have oldest entry here of 131 of 2020. Same thing for vendor parts here, 131, and newest entry on it's 131. So these for store 2 have had entries sitting in here since January. So chances are my prices are not the same now as what they were back in January. So if I send this down, I'm going to be changing all my prices to whatever this update was. So that's why you only want to do what yours is. Somebody else might have done something and never sent that record down. Let's refresh and go back to just mine. So as you can see, everything is today's date here. So there's a few different ways that we can send down to the stores. The first option is we have send now. So what send now does is whatever I have highlighted, it's going to send that record down and only that record. Now I can hit shift or click and select multiple, and send now would send all of those that are highlighted. The other option is the send all now. That will send everything in the queue at one time. So if there's some things sitting in here that you do not want to send just yet, you want to wait till maybe the weekend to send it. You wouldn't want to hit send all now. You want to only highlight what you're going to send for today and hit send now. All right. The next option that we have is we can actually schedule some price changes to go down. So for example, I could go to pricing. I can hit schedule. And then it asks me, when do I want to send the update? Well, let's say this price change takes effect Monday morning. So I'm going to send it down at 11 p.m. Sunday night. My stores are closed. I'm not going to be ringing anything up, so I'm going to go ahead and make that change at the end of the month. That way, on the 1st, the price will be updated to the current price for the cashiers to be able to ring up. Also, keep in mind that with doing a scheduled queue, there also needs to be a scheduled task set up for the FasTrax scheduled task to run. This is the same executable that runs when we're running scheduled reports and things of that nature. Scheduled reports, scheduled orders, they all use the FasTrax schedule task. So if you've already got one of those set up, doing a scheduled queue will just trigger at the same time that the reports and stuff trigger and send down if it's not already been sent. All right, so that is pretty much the queue. Anything that you make changes on will come in here. It doesn't update the stores automatically. You have to send that down. So you come to the queue, send it down to the stores. And again, if you go ahead and make the changes for all the stores, but you're only wanting to send it to say to store 1 in my example here, I still have the changes in here for store 2, but I could uncheck it, hit done. And now I can actually do send all now and send just to store 1, and then I can go back later and do store 2 when I'm ready for that to go down to that store. And it's always a good practice also to keep your queue cleaned out. So if you've made any type of change that's sitting in here and you didn't send it for whatever reason, it's always a good idea to go in and delete it if you're not going to be sending it. So I can just highlight it and I can hit delete. I just remove that update. That way it's not accidentally sent down. It could be I might have accidentally made a mistake and saved the wrong price, and I would delete that out of the queue so I don't send it, and I can go back and fix it and create the correct queue record to send. So that covers the queue for today. I hope you learned something. Remember that webinars are held every Friday at 9 a.m. Central, 10 Eastern. One more time, to get to that, you just go to goftx.com, and you'd go to the FTX Lifeline and go halfway down the page till you get to webinars. Once in the webinar section, you can come in here to register and view webinars. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you all have a good weekend.